Time now for analysis of tonight's top story as newly released emails show coordination between the National School Boards Association, the White House, and Justice Department ahead of that NSBA letter to President Biden that compared parents to domestic terrorists. Tonight's Bream team panel is here to react. Karoline Leavitt, Republican candidate for Congress in New Hampshire, and David McIntosh, Club for Growth president. Great to have you both with us.
Great to be with you, Shane.
Okay, so this is how Fox News sums up what we found out in these emails. It says newly released internal emails reveal that the National School Boards Association coordinated with the White House and the Department of Justice before sending President Biden the notorious letter that compared concerned parents to domestic terrorists. Emails provided to Fox News show that NSBA had coordinated with the White House for weeks beforehand. David, does that matter?
It totally does. It shows how political the Justice Department has become. And in this case, in an outrageous letter comparing parents who care about their students and their children to domestic terrorists when they don't agree with the radical woke agenda about critical race theory. The worst part about it is it shows the White House was right in the middle of it, interfering with the Justice Department and what it's supposed to do, which is enforce the laws.
So Senator Josh Hawley, Republican, tweets this. Wait a minute. The NSBA was, quote, actively engaged with the Justice Department before it sent its disgraceful letter calling parents terrorists. That's not what Merrick Garland told Congress. Karoline, does he have some explaining to do?
Of course he does, and Joe Biden's White House does as well, because they blatantly lied to the American people. The writing has been on the wall from this since the beginning. Of course they coordinated on this memo. They saw the outrage, rightfully so, of parents across the country, so they tried to walk it back. And this is just another egregious example of the federal overreach of the Biden administration. I believe we need to abolish the Department of Education, because those bureaucrats down in Washington are not just out of touch with the American people, but they are trying to slam a radical agenda down the throats of the American people. We will not stand for that. That's why I'm running for Congress. I've made this a focal issue on my campaign. We need state and local control in our education system. Parents across the country are waking up. They are not domestic terrorists at all. They are concerned citizens. I stand with them at school board meetings as they rally against CRT, as they rally against mask mandates. And again, they deserve a vested interest in their parents' education. So yes, AG Garland, Joe Biden, Jen Psaki, every single player in the Biden administration has a lot of explaining to do, and parents will not put up with this heading into 2022.
They have questions, and they are being very targeted and focused about going to their school boards and going to their leaders to try to get some answers. So we'll track that. I want to talk to you guys, too, about inflation and the trouble that this means for the Biden administration, which is struggling with a number of different crises, as new administrations often do. It's been a tough year. The Washington Post says this: Democrats ignore the recent inflation numbers at their peril. They say wages are rising, but they're not rising quickly enough to keep pace with consumer prices. Adjusting for the latest inflation figures, average hourly wages fell 1.2% from October 2020 to October 2021. Not good. David, this is something that showed up in the recent elections as well. People are very worried about the economy and the inflation. Can this administration turn that around?
Well, frankly, their policies have teed this up, and they're asking for more. They just passed a $1.6 trillion boondoggle last Friday, and now they're pushing for another one that we calculate is probably another $4 trillion. Every bit of that debt adds to inflation, and American families are paying for it: higher gas prices, higher food prices, higher heating prices. And we at the Club for Growth just launched ads urging constituents to call their Democratic members of Congress and say enough is enough. Don't vote for this big new spending bill that Joe Biden and Pelosi and Schumer are trying to cram down their throats. Because inflation, like you pointed out, will take away everything from their pocketbook.
Yeah, and this administration, though, has said passing these measures is actually going to help with job creation and lowering inflation. Quickly, Senator Schumer said the best way to address this inflation is to pass this bill that creates jobs and reduces bottlenecks and is totally paid for by making sure the wealthy pay their fair share. Karoline, quick final word from you.
It's absolutely pathetic. They are gaslighting the American people. This is hitting the American people where it hurts, at the grocery store, at the pump. This spending is personal for me. As a young candidate for Congress, we need young people to understand nothing is free. That's why if I am elected to Congress, I will not vote to raise the debt ceiling. We need to make sure America is fiscally responsible again, and the American people should only elect leaders next year who are willing to do that and stand by their word. We are feeling it here in New Hampshire and across the country. The American people are suffering, and the Democrats are full steam ahead with with this socialist agenda. They want us all to be dependent on the government. But again, I don't think the American people will stand for that coming into the elections next year.
Well, the American people get mad when Republicans and Democrats overspend, and whoever is in control needs to answer to them. So thank you both for joining us tonight, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Shannon. You too.